Are you considering buying a new construction home? Don't buy one until you watch this video. Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rachel, and today I've put together a guide of 10 important things you need to know all about buying new construction homes here in Tucson and in general. So I have so many clients that opt for going for a new construction home over resale, and that's my seasoned buyers who have bought multiple homes and also my first-time home buyers. There's so many pros to it, but there's also a lot of little hidden things that if you are not experienced or if you don't have someone with you guiding you through the process that's experienced in new construction, you could be missing out on so much. So you'll want to make sure you watch this entire video, and especially if you're really considering buying new construction, or if you're not, this might just convince you that new construction might be the way. Let's go ahead and get into the video. All right, up first, we have narrowing down your area. Now, this is super important because a lot of the builders, especially in Tucson, they have multiple sites throughout the city. So you're going to be able to get that same builder pretty much across town. So really upfront, what you want to do is finding out what area you want to be in, because you're going to be getting similar or almost the exact same house or floor plan depending on the builder you choose, but you can't change the area. So it's super important that you love where you end up picking, and also that you're comfortable, that commute or anything like that really makes sense for you, and that ultimately you can't really change the area after you've purchased. So especially in Tucson, majority of our home builds are going to be outside of the city limits and kind of outside in the outer parts of Tucson. So a lot of the major areas are going to be the town of Marana, Oro Valley, Vail, Sahuarita, Green Valley. There are some on the west side of Tucson, and then there are some on the very far east. And then of course, if you're looking for more luxury custom build, there are some locations closer within town, a little bit more in the city, and also in the Catalina foothills and the east side of Tucson. So it really depends on where you want to be, what your lifestyle is, certain school districts, anything like that. Super important. You can really kind of, make the home your own, but you can't change the neighborhood and the area you live in. So some might give off a different vibe than the other. So it's really important, if you're going between 2 or 3 different areas, that maybe you spend an afternoon in each so that you can get a feel and, get a feel of the neighbors, the neighborhood, the parks, the amenities. Some do have parks, some do have splash pads, pools, community centers, and some are a little bit limited on that. So if that's a really big deciding factor for you, make sure that you are going into all of that research and you're really deep diving in the area. So that's number 1. Let's go ahead and get number 2. Up next, we have warranties. Now, this is a huge benefit for new builds that obviously you really don't get in a resale home. One of the biggest things, and I really have comfort and ease for my clients, is that they have warranties for this brand new home that they're purchasing. So by warranties, they always say the 10-year builder warranty. And what that means is that the first year, so the first year that you're living there, you're gonna be covered for any workmanship. So what I recommend all of my clients within the first year, and I say month 11 or month 10, is that they get a general home inspection done by an outside third party. They have that person come back in and they're going to do a full scope of the entire house. And that could be anything from, hey, the grading is a little bit weird, or they call everything out, they nitpick the house. You give that inspection report over to the builder, they come back, they fix everything. Or it could just be minimal stuff if you don't want to do that. It's just stuff as wear and tear. Hey, we nicked some of the paint, or the stove isn't working that well, we need you to come back and check it. You make this huge laundry list, or it could be a small list, for the builder. You give it over before your year mark, and they have their people come back in and fix everything. So that's year 1. Then you have year 2, and the year 2 warranty is coverage for 2 years that you're living there. If there's any issues with the HVAC, any electrical, that's covered, that's taken care of, you have a warranty. And then lastly is year 10, and that's gonna be major structural. So let's say you're there year 7 of living there and you notice a crack in the ceiling or a crack in the foundation. that should be an issue in general, but that is covered by the builder. You're covered by a warranty. It's a huge, huge benefit of buying new construction because you can go into it with ease knowing that, hey, if something were major to happen within those 10 years of living there, I have some backfall and I have that warranty to really, really cover my butt. So I think it's a huge plus. All right, next we have third-party inspections. And I did touch on it a little bit in the last segment, but it is something super important and something that I really express to my clients who are purchasing new construction homes to please do this because, it's a very minimal cost up front. It's about, anywhere between $300 to $500 depending on the size of the home, but it's a huge protection and something to keep at ease for the buyer. And that is getting a third-party inspector into the house about a month or so before they actually close on the new build. Now, I have my referred inspectors that I really love and trust. Obviously, you can use whoever you want, but there are certain specific people who really specialize in new construction inspections that are completely unaffiliated from the builders, which is huge. So what it is that we set up a time with the inspector, we walk through and they do a full inspection head to toe of the house. It's getting on the roof, looking at the systems, looking at everything, and they're checking all the electrical, all of that. So when they come back with like a very big report, and basically we hand that over to the builder and they're gonna mark off things that are like, hey, these are red zone of things that absolutely need to get fixed that might have been missed. Hand it over to the builder, they go in and it's basically like their finalized checklist before you move in. So that's a huge plus because if you opt not to do that, hey, it's okay, we'll pass on that, there's a lot of things that could be missed and that of course we'll do a walkthrough, but I'm not an inspector, you're not an inspector, we can miss that with our, eye. So it's very important and it protects you and, for a very minimal cost up front, it could save you a lot of headaches down the road. So I really advise that getting a third-party inspector out there, check out the house, and then you move in, everything's ease, and you enjoy your new home. All right, next we're gonna talk about the 1-year inspection. Now, I did mention this a little bit earlier, but I really refer to this as more so of your 10, 11-month inspection after living in the home. I can't stress this enough. I think this is so important. And I've had so many clients that this ends up being something that they really look forward to after living there for almost a year. I have them put it in their calendar. I sometimes put it in my calendar to remind them like, hey, you should get your inspector back out there to go through and really see and put together a laundry list for the builder to come back and fix everything. I mean, if you're buying something, it's something that you want to take pride in and you want to make sure that after almost a year living there that everything is still working to its best ability and that it's still functioning as a brand new home. You don't get this opportunity if you're buying a resale home, so you want to make sure that you take full advantage of those warranties. So again, you're going to do it probably, I really would suggest around month 10 because sometimes the builders can get a little delayed on those 1-year checkups and you can kind of get pushed back a little bit. So you want to get ahead of it. You want to get it done probably around month 10 and then get it over to the builder as soon as possible. That way they can get you in their queue. They can make sure that they have their contractors over there if there are things that are needing to be fixed. And that could be something as, one of the tile roof slid out, or the HVAC needs a little bit more maintenance, or the refrigerator isn't working. I mean, you're spending all this money on this beautiful brand new home. You want to make sure that it's working in great condition a year later. So can't stress it enough, that 1-year inspection point, AKA your 10-month inspection point, make sure that you do it. Next, we have windows, and don't worry, the houses do come with windows, but what we're gonna be talking about is window coverings. Now, this really depends on, what's going on in the market and what builder incentives are being offered. But one thing that can add up quickly if window coverings are not included in your purchase are window coverings. I don't know if you've ever gone to price out window coverings. They can get pretty pricey, and if you're having to do that for the entire house, I mean, there's probably over 20 to 30 windows or so in that house. that can add up dramatically. So one thing to keep in mind is when you're searching is making sure what is included in that home purchase. I've had a lot of the builders that I work with, majority of them do include window coverings depending on the incentives, but the past few years they've really been throwing in those window coverings, that keep the shade, keep the house cool. So it's nice. It's a nice incentive. I would be a little bit more pushed back if the builder wasn't offering it at this time, because majority of them are. But that's something to really keep in mind, because that could be a hidden expense that pops up, or something you don't even think of, because majority of the time when you're walking and viewing the model homes, of course they're beautiful. They have window coverings, they have all the furniture, it's really jazzed out. So it's important that when you are deciding on the builder, and when you're talking down to the nitty gritty and the what's it going to cost you, you want to ask if those window coverings are included, and if they're not, it's good to probably price that out if that is the home you want to go with. So keep that in mind. Window coverings, they can get very expensive, but if that's not an issue and your builder doesn't offer it, great, let's move forward. But keep that in mind, window coverings. Up next, we have, should I use a buyer's agent? Absolutely. To me, I think that is a no-brainer, and here's the reason why. I think that it's important that you have somebody who is representing you, and someone who's going to bat for you to make sure that everything is taken care of and all of the documents are read. They're long documents, they're long legal documents. So someone who is well versed in that area, and also someone who is familiar with the new build process and that can hold your hand and walk you through the entire way, because it is a longer process. And you might think, well, they have agents there. Of course, those are the sales reps for the builders. And that's the key word, is they work for the builder. And their priority is going to be the builder first. So you want to make sure you have someone who puts you first. And the best part is that a buyer's agent works for free for you, because it's essentially the builder who is paying out that buyer's agent. So when you're picking this agent and you're picking someone who you feel comfortable with, who is going to walk you through and guide you through that process, and you have a little fun along the way as well, but ultimately somebody who can be that ultimate guide for you, and you can use them as your backstop, and they can make sure that you don't have any questions unanswered, and they also might be thinking of questions that you never would have thought of. So absolutely, definitely use a buyer's agent, because you want to make sure you're protected. It's a big purchase, and it's also a long process. So definitely use a buyer's agent. Since we were just talking about buyer's agency, I did want to just make a note that if you or anyone you know is looking to buy, sell, invest, or look into new construction home, I would love to help you. I am a local real estate agent here in Tucson, and you can set up a one-on-one call with me. We can either call, text, or email. Well, I hope to help you, and let's get back into the video. All right, let's go ahead and talk about HOAs. Here in Arizona, or mainly in Tucson, especially in the new build communities, I really find that those HOAs are there, and I think they're there for a reason. Some people really love them, some people absolutely hate them. And I do think it's important that if you are looking at new construction, majority of the time, there is going to be an HOA. I personally think they are there for a reason. A lot of them are more of a big corporation. They're not super local. So they're not going to be, coming by, looking at your yard in the back, or really inspecting up close. Obviously, if it's crazy unkept, you might get a violation of some sort from a neighbor, but that is very far and few, and you just need to upkeep your space. But they're really there to kind of keep out, junky cars, and making sure the neighborhood's nice. And especially if you're in a community that has splash pads, parks, walking trails, those things, they're there to really maintain and keep that money for those areas. I really like them. Majority of the new build communities, they're very clean and they're very well kept. And a lot of the dues are pretty minimal, especially because you're outside mostly of Tucson. And so a lot of the dues that I'm seeing are either monthly or quarterly, and they can range anywhere from $24, and I've seen some be, $76, and sometimes they're broken up quarterly. So it really depends on the neighborhood you're looking in, the area, and if it's gated or anything like that, but I really don't see them being astronomical prices, and it really keeps and holds that high value of the neighborhood that you're looking in. So I always think, if you're really looking into having a lower HOA, we really have to go in and see what neighborhood would be best for you, but it is definitely doable. But majority of them, and actually most of them from what I know, do have HOA, so that is something to keep in mind. Next up, let's talk construction timeline. Now, this can be a big deciding factor on either which builder you're using or, what type of home you're wanting to do. Now, first we have spec homes. Those are going to be more of your move-in ready, or more of the homes that they're quicker build. They typically take about 6 to 8 months to build. And right now, especially, there's a lot of move-in ready options. So these are homes that they're already on the pre-selected lots, and they're either about a month or two out, or they're already completed, and you can move in within a month or so, depending on if you're doing a loan or anything like that. So those are really great options right now for a lot of buyers. And a lot of those homes are going to be, because they're spec homes, they're pre-selected designs. So that's where it's able to keep the cost lower, but you really don't have to take away the design and the elegance of the build. And of course, it depends on which builder you choose, because some are definitely more of the lower grade and they're a little bit more cheaper material, and some are going to be your fresher, modern homes, but you're not having to spend an arm and a leg on those homes. But they have a pre-selected design. So that means it might be, your white cabinets with a quartz countertop, and then you have a luxury vinyl plank or tile flooring, and they're all pre-selected. So you can't go in there and change it, that's what you're getting. Or some might have dark cabinets with a white countertop and tile floor, but majority of the time they're using what's on trend. They're going to be using a lot of those brighter colors. It's going to be very open, modern, airy, so you're really not having to, take away from, hey, it's pre-selected, I don't get to choose what I want. It's going to be pretty modern, and they're pretty gorgeous. They choose really nice things depending on which builder you choose, but that helps keep the cost down. So if there's something down the line that you don't absolutely love, like you want to add a tile backsplash, that's something that you could budget for, 6 months or a year down the road, but it's going to save you money than if you were to do that through an actual builder where you have to go to a design center. Now, that gets into more of your custom homes, and not all custom. There are some builders here in town that you do go to design centers and they don't offer those design packages. Now, those homes is where it can get a little bit tricky, because with the spec homes, with the pre-selected designs, they are very upfront with their pricing. When you sign on that dotted line, you know what you're going to be paying at closing. With the ones where you have to go to the design center, that's where that price can hike up, and that's where it can get a little tricky. They'll say home starting at the low 300s. Okay, well, that's starting at the low 300s, but 2 months down the road, you have to go to the design center and you're gonna choose your cabinets, your backsplash, your countertop, your bathrooms, your flooring. That's gonna add up. So you started at the low 300s, and I've seen it go up where it said starting at, mid 400s, and I had a client price it out and it ended up being close to 700,000. So that's not to deter you away from that. It's just saying that, sometimes you might think you really want that, design center in those homes, but those pre-designed plan packages could be a great option. Now, talking about the custom homes, you definitely will need to go to a design center, and we'll go ahead and talk about the design center in the very next section. All right, last up on our list, we are going to be talking about the design center. Now again, there are some builders, and that's very limited, some builders of those spec homes that you do still have to go to the design center, and that's where the price can go a little bit higher than what is originally expected. But mainly for custom luxury homes, you absolutely are going to be going to a design center. And that's going to be about 2 to 3 months down the road from actually signing the contract, deciding on the home, and you're going to be choosing things from everything interior. Majority of the time, the elevation plan, and that's the design of the outside, is going to be chosen a little bit more earlier on. The design center is where you are picking and choosing your tile, your backsplash, your lighting, your fixtures, all of those things. So for me, that's definitely fun. I think it can get a little overwhelming, but it's a good thing because they do have, hopefully your agent is more well-versed in that interior aspect. If not, they do have their designers at the design center that can help, really put together a great look. And the thing is it's important, if budget is an issue or if that's something that you're being more conscious about, really kind of looking at that if the design center is something that will work for you, or if going with more of a spec home where they have the design packages already pre-planned. But again, more of those custom luxuries, you're going to the design center and really choosing the perfect, beautiful finishes for that home. Well, that wraps up this guide for new construction homes. I really hope this was helpful because I do think a lot of these things really get swept under the rug or aren't necessarily talked about when it comes to buying new construction homes. I think buying new construction is a wonderful option, whether again you're a seasoned buyer or a first-time home buyer, especially right now. There are so many great incentives that a lot of these builders are offering. A lot of them are offering to cover closing costs. A lot of them are offering almost 2 points lower in interest rates, which is massive. It makes it way more affordable to buy a home, which right now in this time, I think that's super important, and a lot of people don't know of that option. So again, new construction, it's great. If you have any questions, if you want any more information about new construction, my guide will be listed down below, and it'll go over basically majority of the stuff we talked about today, and it can help, give you a hard copy or a digital copy of this. But if you or anyone you know is looking to buy or sell or look into new construction, I'd love to help you. I'd love to be a resource. You can text, call, email me, and we can set up a great time to meet. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.